Hello, on Forest Focus, we take your calls, hopefully on all things Nottingham Forest, with the Reds riding high in the Premier League table and Evangelos Marinakis pushing to appoint Edu after his departure from Arsenal this week. Those two factors finally seem to have woken up the pundits and switched the narrative around Forest. So joining me to discuss all that and chat with you is Greg Mitchell. Greg, good evening. How are you?
Good, yeah. Even the Forest fans are giving me jip now about being from Leicestershire. I'm not from Leicestershire. Eastleigh was Nottinghamshire. But I'm really good, thank you.
I think that's because I live in Leicestershire, probably. I think people know I live in Leicestershire. I've outed myself a little bit, if not. But yeah, good to have lots of people with us already. Hopefully, a few of you will log on with us shortly. I'll drop the link in about 10 minutes since once we've covered off a couple of things. And like I say, jump on with us for 5 or 10 minutes, whatever you want, and we'll chat about Forest, whatever you want to discuss. But while I've got you with us, Greg, a couple of things to talk about. As I say, first of all, I put their pundits changing their tune in my notes. I listened to the Monday Night Club earlier, and they spent about 20 minutes talking about Forest. It was mixed in with Arsenal, obviously, but there was a lot on Forest. We feel like we're getting a bit of praise and recognition finally. Is that good? Would you want to sneak under the radar still?
Oh, you can't sneak under the radar for this long, can you?
No.
We've spent 20 odd years under it. I think even we might get bored of them talking about it, as you had Jeff Stelling tipping us for Europe, I think, today, and they're all getting on board now. They all want to be that person who said, "I told you so," when a lot of us have been doing it for years. But I don't know. It's all right, but they'll soon turn. They'll soon turn, won't they? They'll be waiting for us to fail. So it's down to our team, our owner, and everyone else to make sure that we don't.
Yeah, I know all the transfers were now necessary, and it was good business and everything. When a year ago it was, we were crazy and stupid and doomed. So it's funny how the narratives do change. So keep fighting the good fight on the overlap. I think we'll be back on there soon, hopefully, winning people over one at a time. The Edu thing's interesting. We discussed it yesterday with Prutz and Emily and Mikey. One thing I didn't say was about the kind of big club mentality that I guess he brings, because he's worked at Arsenal, who are massive and have a massive infrastructure. So it feels like a good move to me that we're hopefully getting him in. What do you make of it?
It's exciting. You don't steal someone off Arsenal, do you, when you're not trying to be as big as them? I thought originally it might be like a CEO job or something that really elevates him personally, but it sounds like it's more of a kind of a Klopp group job like he's got over at that Red Bull thing. But yeah, I'm sure the concentration will be on the Premier League and be on Forest, no matter what his title is. And I messaged my Arsenal mate, and of course he's changed his tone, saying that we're just going to sign a load of defenders and this, that, and the other. But no, it's great. This is how we sustain our Premier League status, how we just keep climbing just behind the scenes. It's all about behind the scenes with modern Premier League clubs.
Yeah, I think that's a big factor in it. Like when you look at what he's done at Arsenal, it's not him alone, obviously, but the 11 they played on against Newcastle, I know they lost the game, but 10 of them were signed under his tenure. Saka was the only one who wasn't, obviously. So they've obviously built a good side there with him. We'll see how it develops and what role he takes on. There's a lot of talk of him buying another club. I mentioned Monza yesterday. I see Vasco da Gama, I think, in Brazil or something, another club that Marinakis might be buying. So you can see the attraction for Edu, and I'm sure he'll be well remunerated, as has been reported. The other thing that's on the agenda, just briefly, that Jackie mentions, Anthony Taylor's reffing our next game. I really hate talking about refs, especially before the game when he hasn't even reffed it yet. But a lot of fans are pretty angry about it. Obviously, he was the man who was responsible for Morgan sending off at Brighton. We crossed swords with him a lot recently, and he's gone from refereeing in European finals to being the most reviled ref in the league. Are you worried already about this Newcastle game now he's in charge, or not?
No, we're too good. Despite his, we might as well clip it now. Despite his awful refereeing and everything that would have gone his way and not ours on Sunday, we're still going to get the win. He's not going to be able to ruin our day at all anymore. We're too good for the likes of his terrible mistakes to ruin it.
It is interesting, though. The last 3 games we've had, I think, we touch wood. I know inevitably we'll have a VAR incident eventually, but we haven't had anything of consequence or note that I can think of, with 3 of the more kind of unheralded refs. I can't even tell you what their names were off the top of my head. So it
You
will
know
be.
game.
You say again?
Then you know they've had a good game, don't you?
Yeah,
If you can't
yeah.
remember the name. That's the perfect game for them.
Yeah, exactly. So let's hope we're not talking about Anthony Taylor on Monday. I suspect we might be because he's had a horrific run, but we'll find out. Right, I'm going to drop the link in the chat shortly. We'll just take a word just before we get into that for the Trent Navigation, mentioning the Newcastle game straight after. It says Saturday there. It's on Sunday. I'll put them on. This is an old graphic. Sunday is the game. Straight afterwards, the Money are playing. You can get food and beers, obviously, pizza, kitchen, barbecue, 2 outdoor bars, Cascale ciders. They do accept cash as well. So it's on Sunday, obviously, and entry is free. Did you go to the M&M gig?
Yeah.
Was it good?
It was. It was loud at the start, and then I think they got the levels right, and we came back out for the finale, and it was dead good. Yeah, fair play to him. I mean, weren't exactly his crowd. It was a celebratory Forest, slightly drunk crowd, and they got on board. And no, it was good, really good. They're never just getting it right, aren't they? They're getting all the music in, and whilst Forest are flying, I can't imagine what it'll be like when we start on a Wednesday night down there in Europe and all that rubbish. They've got it set up, ready to go.
I will probably get onto that, all that stuff. I might ask you that about while we wait for hopefully people to join us. I'm dropping the link in the live chat now. If you click on that, you will drop into the studio. Ideally, people have their cameras on so I can see who you are, and it makes me less nervous. You're going to say something mental, so that would be good if you have cameras on, and obviously you'll need a mic on. So
I've got away with it.
Yeah, you've got away with it for 4 years. Yeah. So yeah, click on that link if you want to join us. Come on and have your say about Forest. Are you revising your European ambitions, by the way, while we're waiting for people to hopefully join us? I know you've kind of dreamed of Europa League. Are you thinking a bit even more ahead of that?
No, I just want to figure out how I'm going to pay for it all. But there's going to be a European trip sooner rather than later. I think our destiny is heading that way. There's a whole generation that have never had it, so we're going to get it soon, whether it's this year or next year or what. But it's coming. You can just feel it. The momentum, the way we're growing each year.
Got 2 people waiting already, so good. Which is good. I'll bring them in. Chris Aylmer is in the chat from Forest all over. Dortmund playing tonight. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Laura's watching it downstairs, and I've missed out
You're
on
doing
fireworks. Dortmund. I'm just excited to talk Forest.
Excellent.
Is Chris coming on? He should jump on.
Jump on, Chris, if you want.
We could talk about Man U and the gap.
I like how he's got a thumbnail of his wife who has the patience of an absolute saint, because he was in Barcelona last week messaging me about FPL, and I was like, oh, we sort out our teams every week, and I didn't know he was in Barcelona. And he must have spent hours doing it. So shout out to Mrs. Aylmer. No, I'm not wearing Christmas jumper, but do like and subscribe, everyone. Right, let's bring our first person in. Danny Tring with Ribena. Good evening. How are you?
Good, are you?
Yeah,
all right,
very
good.
You're all right.
Yeah, mate. I'm good, mate. Thank you.
Excellent. Good to see you in the Nav at the weekend. Pre-match. It was very good post-match, I'm sure. What do you want to talk about, Danny?
No, I was just discussing with the start of the season when you did it might have been end of the season when you had your live one, and I think it was Bertels and Emily had the bit of a discussion with the Murillo Gibbs-White situation. Looking now, I just wondered what you two would think. If you could keep one now for the next 5 years, which one would you keep out of Murillo and Gibbs-White?
Oh, I know what my answer would be. Go on, Greg. You go first.
Oh, no, that's a great question, though.
Well, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Well, I've always said Gibbs-White because I think a centre-half's easier to replace. But now you look at Murillo and Milenkovic on that pairing, they're like our Vidic and Terry, or Vidic and Ferdinand, or Terry and Carvalho. And if a dream scenario now, I would keep Murillo if we had Milenkovic alongside him. I feel like they come as a pair now. So, yeah. Because Elliot Anderson's shown that he can cover Morgan. So there's a lot of hindsight in it, isn't there, and how circumstances have changed. But if you gave me a choice between the two now, I don't think it's necessarily a realistic choice because Murillo's that good. But I would keep Murillo now. Go on, Greg. What about you?
The defence is the reason that we've we're third in the Premier League, like legitimately third in the Premier League as well. It'd be such a shock and surprise if Murillo stays with us next season. I've said it before, the only way he does is European football, and that's understandable. A player of that quality, everything that he's got going forwards, he's going to play European football sooner rather than later, and I'd love it to be with us. And it's such a... I don't know. Gibbs-White's captain material for the next 5 years, and I genuinely think he'll stay with us. I think he's going to grow with us, and Murillo would be such a shock. So I'll say Murillo, but tough question that.
Yeah, the chat's pretty split on it. I can see reasons for both. I suppose to flip the question back, Danny, is like Greg says, I mean, give your take on it as well. But do you think, like, could you see Morgan staying for 5 years much more than you could Murillo now?
Yeah, I could see Morgan stopping for the 5 years over Murillo, but the point I'm getting at is like, in an ideal world, mine would be Murillo. I think when people say it's easy to replace a centre half, it is easy to replace a centre half, but it's not easy to replace a centre half like Murillo. It's like you look around and you see, I mean, Milenkovic is outstanding, but is of a similar style of play. You can compare him with certain centre halves. Like you can say, he's very good in the air. He's not necessarily the quickest, but he reads the game well. Whereas I look at Murillo and I think, who's comparable? Like realistically, who's comparable for what he does? And I think it's so vital in our play. Like it's all right. They can't give him the time on the ball like they can other centre halves. Like when you look at other teams and you can go let the centre half have the ball. With Murillo, it's like he can either spread a ball 70 yards to feet, he can shoot from 40 yards and you don't know where it's going. He can dribble 50 yards and through players. So for me, I'm always edging towards the Murillo, but I get the Gibbs-White, but I just think Anderson done so well. And then it's like they're a bit different him and Anderson are, and I quite like the way Anderson plays compared to Gibbs-White. Like, he's very direct. He looks, as soon as he gets the ball, like he wants to make something happen straight away, like drive at defences. And it's like, say in hindsight, we didn't realise how good Elliot Anderson were going to be. And I think he wants to play in the 10 personally, Anderson, if he was to ask me. So, but realistically, like you say, Morgan would be the more realistic one, but we can dream, can't we?
Can have both. Is that the Taiwo flag that's always in upper cloth?
Yeah.
It's
I
actually your
always see.
flag.
Yeah, it's mine. Yeah, man. Mrs. got it me for my birthday. Since I put it up, I don't think he scored.
I was going to say about centre halves, when you were talking about that, I was trying to think, are there comparable centre halves to Murillo? Because there are ball playing centre halves, like there's John Stones, there's Pau Torres, there's players like that. The only one I could think of that's close to him in style is probably Van der Ven, because in terms of athleticism, but he's not as good on the ball. Yeah, but he's not as good on the ball as Murillo. Murillo's probably the one that's got it all. But Milenkovic makes him better. I mean, do you think Milenkovic is easier to replace that mould of centre half, or is he just that good as well?
I think Milenkovic it's one of them. It's like, I think when Maguire was at Leicester, everyone said like, because we do defend deeper, don't we, than like your top teams. Like that's so it does play in his advantage. It's like, whereas I think if Murillo could defend on the halfway line, do you know what I mean? Like you could put him there. Like I think he enjoys having a race with. Like I think Bowen, who were almost toying with him on Saturday. So, but I won't say it'd be easy to replace Milenkovic, but I think there's more type of player like him. Like if you went through even when off the top of your head, I'm not saying he's good, but they've been spells in the career. Like you've got like Lewis Dunk, you've got Anderson's good, similar sort of player. I mean, look at Palace now; he's left. Then even like Harry Maguire is the attacking ball winning centre halves who are physically strong, like battle. But I wouldn't, like Greg says, they come as a pair. They are who they are. Like it's looking like, and it is solid. It's like, well, the reason we are where we are is because of that back four, and the two centre halves are a big part of that. And with what you've said about Van der Ven, the only issue I've got with Van der Ven is I've looked back, I can't really think of a game Murillo's missed for us. Van der Ven's looking like he's had 2 hamstring injuries now.
Yeah, because he's such an athlete, yeah.
Has he missed? I don't know if Murillo's missed a game injured, has he?
Oh, well, touch wood.
No.
Yeah.
He had that time where he looked like he was like limping every single game and he was just getting absolutely hammered. And it's, this is the one. But the other thing with like Murillo, Milenkovic has made him already such a better player. Like having such quality by his side just makes his game obviously even better. And someone said last week, and I keep thinking about it, if Murillo's worth 50 million, how much is Milenkovic worth already?
Yeah.
His size.
Yeah, I mean, but we've got Willy Bolly, who's our version, but he just couldn't stay fit, could he? Like if Willy Bolly was been fit for 30 games, 35 games, he's not as good as Milenkovic. I'm not saying he is, but he could have been a good pairing. Certainly.
Yeah, I said the exact same thing today about that with the Bolly situation. I says I've gone about it with my dad, and I just says to him, I says, to be fair, Bolly was solid when Bolly was at the side of him. He was just solid. Obviously, he's not Milenkovic, just like a Rolls Royce, isn't he?
Yeah, we got Morato as well. I don't know what Morato's going to be really like. He's had the 20-minute cameos. He needs a run of games, which he's not going to get, touch wood, unless someone gets injured again. But yeah, people are mentioning him in the chat, certainly. Do, as Peter says, everyone, there's 330 people with us, which is great. Do hit subscribe and like. It is free, and only takes a second. Anything else you want to talk about, Danny, before we let you go?
No, we're all good. Just enjoying it. Keep it up. It's good. Enjoy it every other day now, isn't it?
Every day, practically. Yeah. No, good. You're a good man. Good to see you. Good to see you. What's your? I said Mrs. Tring on the podcast on Monday. I don't know her name.
It's Jess.
Oh, there you go. Shout out to Jess. There you go.
No sound. I'll see you. I'll probably see you Sunday if you're back.
I am.
I'll be
there pretty much. Yeah. We'll both be there. Yeah. I'll see you on Sunday, mate. Thanks very much.
Have a good week, lads.
You
Cheers,
too.
Danny.
Cheers, mate. See you later. Bye. Bye. Right, we should go straight to the guests. We've got 2 people in the chat waiting to come on. If you want to join us, I'll put the link in again. We'll try and squeeze in as many as we can tonight. Right, there you go. Is it going in? Yeah, it's going in. Right, here we go. Joseph, good evening. How are you? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good. Are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you? Well, this is probably the time of your life as a Forest fan. How are you? How much are you enjoying it?
Absolutely. I mean, growing up, as I say, we were always a championship side, lower mid-table. I remember when we lost to Stoke, was it 4-5-1? We're watching it on Gillette Soccer Saturday. I remember, I think it was an own goal. I'm like, oh my, I'm like, we are terrible. And then we get promoted with Cooper. And then we scrape survival to, I wouldn't say scrape the second season. That points deduction would have been a bit more comfortable. Then this season, 3rd. I'm like, this is unheard of. It's like the 80s, Forest and Liverpool competing for titles. Brilliant. Like, I predicted 12 at the start of the season and never thought we'd get 3rd. I think 6th now. I mean, I think we'll be there on Thursday nights next year playing the likes of Fenerbahce, Galatasaray maybe.
Excellent.
Oh no, I'd never come back.
I like the way Joseph says when I was growing up. How old are you? 13?
14, yeah.
14. Good lad. Who are the 5 teams we're finishing behind then?
Behind, I think, realistically, I mean, we are ahead of Arsenal now. I think Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, I think they're your top 3. I do think Spurs, if they can get their defence right, I think their attack is very good. I think Chelsea, I think they're the 5 teams. I think we finish ahead of Villa. I think we finish ahead of Man United, Newcastle, Brighton, the likes of them. All of them, I think we'll finish ahead of.
That's the question, Greg, isn't it, then? Can we finish ahead of Villa and Newcastle, United and Brighton?
I do think like Villa are going to suffer for their European success this year. And you see it when a team gets into Europe. I know everyone's got the same amount of players in the squad, but it's having that almost 2 sets of starting 11s that you need to have a European run, an FA Cup run, a league run, everything. It came too much for Newcastle, didn't it? And I do think Villa will suffer and they'll lose points because of this, the amount of football they're going to play. So I do think this year is our year to get high up that table, because there seems to be a lot of teams that are going through a bit of a what's the word? A bit of like turnover and a bit of a change. So I agree. I do. Maybe a little bit negative saying 6, but I get it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if there's ever a chance for a 2016 Leicester, it's this season.
I know. I don't. That's the thing, isn't it? You keep seeing like they were on the same amount of points and this and that, but yeah, that'd be amazing.
I don't think it's quite as a low quality Premier League as that season.
No, I agree.
No, I think
They
you're
got
right.
it very easy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think like when you look at Chelsea, they're not in Europe, are they? So they're able to play Cole Palmer just Premier League games, and I can see them improving. But 6th is something to dream about. Anything else you want to talk about, Joseph, tonight?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Alex Moreno.
No?
I thought I haven't seen a lot of praise about him. I was there at the West Ham game. I thought he was my player of the match, honestly. I think he played your modern fullback and your traditional fullback very well. He played your modern fullback in getting forward, obviously, that cross for Wood's first goal. Great cross with a sliding challenge at the same time. Overlapped Gibbs-White and Hudson-Odoi quite a lot. And then I think he got back and he was sturdy in defence. I mean, Wan-Bissaka was quite good. I thought Moreno was better. I didn't think they got past him. I think he stopped crosses. I think he was brilliant. And I think he is someone we could sign on a permanent. I mean, the only thing, he isn't that quick. I mean, but then on the other side, you've got Aino, who's absolutely rapid. So I think Moreno was brilliant. I think he deserves more credit. He was my man of the match. The way he attacked and defended was excellent.
You bang on, and the thing is, and it just shows how good our team are playing, because you can't talk about every single player, and every single player is having man of the match performances. And I just think he's a superb player, and fans are singing sign him up, rightfully so. How old is he? Is he like 31 or something?
I just googled that. That's what I was going to ask you. So he'll be 32 next season. If we were to sign him, would that bother you at all, Joseph, signing a 32-year-old?
I mean, all I say is look at Chris Wood. I think he's 32. And I mean, he's the most informed player in the league right now. I mean, definitely.
Can't argue against that.
No, that's a good answer.
I think it's 8 goals in 10 games. I mean, I thought it would be good like last season. I didn't think this good. I thought we needed a striker. I've been proven wrong. I do think we should go in for one next summer. He likes of Evan Ferguson, maybe a Liam Delap, maybe someone like that. But I think, if he can be like Chris Wood, I don't mind having the mix of young guns like Anderson, he's 21, Murillo, 22. We got quite a Elanga, 21, Hudson-Odoi, 24. And then the likes of your more experienced players like Milenkovic is only 27, but he's got the experience of a 40-year-old. And then you got Wood, 32, Moreno, 31. The mix of experience and young talents is what a team needs. You have a team like Brighton, bar Danny Welbeck and Dunk, who have a really young team. And then you have teams with more. I think if they have that mix of young talent, raw talent and experience, I think it works really well. That's why I think Murillo and Milenkovic are perfect together. You've got the more experienced, big, no-nonsense centre-back. And I wouldn't say Murillo's a ball-playing centre-back. He's better than that. I don't know what way to describe him. He's a ball-playing stopper. I mean, he's everything. He's the full package. I mean, I can see him playing for Real Madrid one day, honestly.
Oh, excellent.
Or us against Real Madrid.
The present Matt Davis, I think. I'm starting to worry about my job, Ollie, certainly. Yeah, Jones makes a really good point. I hadn't considered about Moreno as well. Wan-Bissaka was basically, him and Bowen were their only good players for Saturday. And Bowen's second half played on his side when Antonio came on. And he did give us problems. But again, Moreno dealt with them well. Like, he's had some really big tests, Moreno. There's so many good right wingers in the league. Obviously Salah, but at Brighton he was up against Minter and did well. And Palace, who would have played on that side? Sarr, I think, who's rapid as well. So yeah, I think you're right. Right, I'm going to let you go in 1 second, Joseph. You talk a lot about midfield, so I'd like to get your take on this. Who would be your midfield 3 on Sunday against Newcastle?
You asked me a tough question. Impossible.
That's what I try and do.
I mean, there's 4 in contention. You've got Gibbs-White, Anderson, Yates, Dominguez. No one else gets in that midfield for me. I think I'll lean towards we're playing. Oh, I forgot who we're playing. My mind's gone blank.
Newcastle.
Newcastle, obviously. That's terrible from me. Played Newcastle. I think they've got a midfield of Joe Linton, Tonali and Gibbs-White. I think to counter that, I would have Anderson. I want him to start against his former club with Yates and Gibbs-White. It's very cool of me to drop Dominguez because he's been excellent, and I might just be another one of those Forest fans who Dominguez under the radar. I mean, he has been getting a lot of praise, but no, I want Anderson against his former club. I want that creativity against Joe Linton and Gibbs-White. That's what I would do. Very mean of me to leave out Dominguez though.
No, that's good. People might disagree, people might agree, but you've argued your point well, and that's half the battle.
That's brilliant.
You've done a good job.
I think I'm on Thursday, so there might be a team I have to present. And if
it might be some massive plagiarism now.
I think you've sold it for me there, Joseph. That was brilliant.
Oh dear. Right, Joseph, I'll let you go. Good to see you again. Good to see you. Thanks very much, mate.
Thanks, you too. Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
See you later. Bye. Bye. Right, we've got one more person waiting. I know, it's so good, isn't it? It's actually almost annoyingly good for someone who's like 14.
He just reeled off the Newcastle midfield straight away as well.
I know. I like it. He clearly watches a lot of football, so good on him. Right, the link's there if anyone else would like to join us. We've got Edward waiting, so I'll bring him in now, but we've probably got time for at least one more person if anyone fancies jumping on or not. Edward, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, very good. Thank you. I don't know how I follow that, such precociousness, but I'll give it my best. I'm more towards the dementia end of the scale rather than the youth and sort of enthusiasm of Joseph. But we'll crack on.
Are you the person on Twitter? Is it? I can't remember what it is. Capanosity in function.
Capanosity in function. It isn't. I am indeed. Yes.
Where's it from again?
It's from a short story by a Dublin author called Brendan Behan. I studied it in school. It kind of stuck with me. It's a story called The Confirmation Suit. Anybody who's a Catholic will know what confirmation is. But it's just a line about describing his grandmother as a woman of capanosity and function. It's a combination of the two words capability and generosity, as far as I know. Brendan isn't around to tell me because he died 60 years ago. But that's where I got it from. So it always just stuck with me.
Very good. Very good. You always pop up on my Twitter feed, so it's good to meet in person. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I just obviously the general air of positivity around the team. It's like we just caught up with Greg. I know it's taken us many years to do so, but it's like, the positivity train. I call Greg the Flying Knotsman because we're just all aboard the Greg Mitchell positivity train now because it's incredible. Like I've been supporting Forest for about 45 years now, and when I was Joseph's age, was about the mid 80s. That was a great time. Like we were an established team. Clough was, still relatively in his pomp, and we were a competitive team in the old First Division, and it was great. You didn't think it was going to ever change, and that's where Joseph, I think, is now. And I hope it carries on for many years for him and for all of us for that reason. I suppose what I'm looking for in relation to transfers and going forward, like it's amazing how transfer priorities change throughout the season, because in the summer we're going like we have to get a goalkeeper, have to spend 20-25 million on Ramsdale or Kelleher or somebody, and now Matt Sells. People are saying, okay, let's focus on the goalkeeper. Midfield, we seem to get sorted. We have like about six quality central midfielders at the moment, 42 of whom are injured. But that's why you have that depth. You have 4 wingers, and we have the 2 strikers. And you see speculation today from generally a very good source in German football talking about Matthias Tell and him coming in as a possible loan. And I can only see us getting a loan in January. It's not a time to buy, and we have to obviously. But the thing is, when we were talking about, I remember yourselves talking about it a number of times over the summer, is what type of striker do we bring in? Like, do we bring in a similar type, as in that kind of target man, that kind of central kind of physical striker, that kind of Chris Wood and Taiwo, or do we bring in a different style? So we were looking for Nketiah, Jimenez, and Marmouche, who all seem to be that kind of smaller, faster kind of winger come striker. So I think Tell seems to be in that kind of vein. And the team is so set up to play to suit Chris Wood and obviously it has been said Taiwan. Obviously, Taiwan would fit into that in form as well. So I would like to think, obviously, that if Nuno has a fair say and a fair crack at the transfers and who he wants to come in consultation with the recruitment team. Like, I would like to think we have the tactics, we have the flexibility to suit another type of striker, because in reality, any time we've ever tried to play away from that, whether through injury or choice, that 4-2-3-1 with that kind of central, it hasn't really worked. So, I wonder, was that something that Nuno has up his sleeve that we haven't seen yet? Because I know he tried to mix it up against Fulham, and that was particularly stale, I suppose you could describe that performance. But I hope, I don't know what you think about, do we have that flexibility? Will we have that flexibility to take in another striker of that style? Because the current system is working so well for us at the moment.
So the whole system, yeah, there's obviously money there because we went out to try and buy someone. And you're right, Edward, the type of striker we wanted was a different one. So I suspect in January they'll go for that different striker again. It's obviously something they've identified. If they feel that's a weakness in the squad, it hasn't been eradicated particularly. And you don't need to go out and buy another Chris Wood type striker, do you, Greg, when Chris Wood's like, second only to Haaland as Premier League strikers right now. In fact, he's probably playing better than Haaland, isn't he?
Yeah. And, Sousa comes on at the weekend and almost scores with the last kick of the game with an absolute wonder strike. And the quality is there. I just feel we're still waiting to see if Taiwo's got it. The only way we can tell if he's fit is if he gets some more minutes. And he does seem to look a little bit sharper each time he comes on. But I still think we're going to spend. I think if we're in touching distance of that top six at the January transfer window, he's going to go for it. It's his best chance ever to get his Premier League side into Europe. So I think if we're in and around that top six in January, and I'm sure that it's not that, black and white, but I just think we're probably already planning a different plan as to what we were at the start of the season with what we go for and who we can attract, because we're clearly going to be able to attract better players. It's just so hard to get them in January.
Do you want that though? By the way, the Irish lads in the chat are loving the author reference, Edward, as well. I noticed Chris and Shane are in there.
Yeah, Shane didn't dare come on.
Yeah, come on, Shane.
I told him to come on. He said
yeah.
no.
Don't bother it. No, I shouldn't shame people. If you fancy it, come on, Shane. Interesting hearing Greg talk there, Edward, about signing better players. Would you worry that we'd sign too many players in January and upset the apple cart at all?
I don't think so, because I think we've passed that phase. Summer has proved that we sign what we need to sign. The days of bulk buying are gone, because that myth, that kind of impression of Forest just spread far and wide, that we were just crazy buying. We needed to buy. We had 7 players left. We needed to buy a squad, and we had to do it very quickly. So, necessity. That was a necessity at the time. We don't need to do that now. And I think Summer has shown that they've moved on to that next level. January will be the same, because the squad. I think part of the reason the squad seems to be so together, and you see so much of on the social media stuff now, and how well they're getting on. You have the vibes leaders in the dressing room. They're quite obvious, like Aina and other people like that. So I think the tightness of the squad and the small, the tight numbers, the 20-25 players who are there, that that's what you need. Obviously, you have to rely on fewer injuries, fewer suspensions to keep that kind of going. But I think if you increase it and bulk it out unnecessarily with another 5 or 6 players, I don't see the point of it now, because you're upsetting that kind of equilibrium in the squad, where everybody seems to be together. There's no kind of divas, no kind of solo runners there. It seems that everybody's kind of has clicked. And, part of the reason why a team is successful is that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's implementing the manager's instructions to the letter. And on that point, actually, I think we have to, big up Rui Pedro Silva, because he's done a great job on the touchline. How kind of autonomous he's been on the touchline, independent he's been. He's obviously getting instructions from on high, but I have to say he stood in really well, and kind of, the team has not missed a beat with him in charge. So it's in fairness, that shows that, again, behind the scenes there's that collectiveness. Then you look at the recruitment, see that has worked over the summer, and I'm sure, as you said, they have been planning for January since the end of the transfer window, and they will have targeted players probably that we haven't heard of, and they'll be using all the software and the analytics skills that they have to pick out the exact kind of player. Like, the players they looked for towards the end, like someone like Marmoush, obviously has just exploded in the Bundesliga this year. I would doubt 1% of Forest fans might have heard of Omar Marmoush before the last week of the transfer window. So that's the kind of thing. And it seems Sirianos has this kind of almost like has this kind of symbiotic relationship with Germany. We've got so many good players out of Germany in recent years. Like some of our better signings, like Taiwo, Niakate, people like that. They've come from the Bundesliga, and again, not players we would have heard of unless you were very much kind of into your football, your continental football. So I like to think they will be prepared. I have more confidence now than before that they are prepared, and I think the whole thing is settled down. And obviously, you referenced the Edu thing as well. Like, again, getting somebody like him, obviously that's not the money isn't the issue for him. I'm sure Marinakis can pay him what he wants, but it's the plan, it's the project he has put out in front of him and said, right, I want you to be this and do this and be in, you slot in here and you do this and you oversee this. So obviously whatever he has said and his people have said to him has really kind of impressed Edu and said, okay, I've seen what it takes to build a club at the very highest level. Like, this is a worldwide club, Arsenal. And, he obviously sees something that Marinakis has planned that is, if we get everything right, and you always need a bit of luck, etc. But if we get everything right, then we can be moving on to that next plane where we are not just surprised to be in the top three, but kind of, expectant that we're in the top three. It's about changing that expectancy from hope to expectation,
Lots of good points there. A few people in the chat mentioning Marmoush. I think Mark said he would cost us top dollar. I saw one of the reputable German reporters basically suggesting he's going to Liverpool in January now. I think the ship's sailed on him, unfortunately, because he's absolutely smashing it this season. But just on Sirianos, makes a good point there, Edward, I suppose, doesn't he, Greg? Because I don't think Edu coming in would affect Sirianos' role. I certainly hope it wouldn't, because he's been integral to everything we've done in the last 6 months to a year since he got back into the fold.
Yeah, they'll be looking at it. He'll add to it, and like I say, if he's going to be looking after the group rather than Forest, it'll be how he can benefit everyone, and maybe it'll help us a little bit with moving on some players that don't get any game time. But it'll be interesting, and it can only add to us. Someone of that quality. I'm sure he's used to it. With Arsenal, they'll have 10 times the amount of staff behind the scenes that we do.
Yeah, he's leaving a sporting director role, isn't he? He's not coming here to take a sporting director. He's not going to be the hands-on guy who signs players. Yeah. No, so you're right, certainly. Anything else you want to say, Edward, before we let you go? We've got one more person waiting to join us in Lee.
Just on the centre-back discussion earlier, it's a fair point about Morato. There's also David Carmo, who's been signed to go on loan to Olympiacos from Porto. So again, we don't know. Do we have another potential Murillo on our hands there? We'll wait and see. And I just also think my Irish colleagues in the chat as well will say this. Andrew Amabamidele is a very, very good player. I remember him making his debut for Ireland 3 years ago in the Algarve to play Portugal, and he had an absolute stormer against Ronaldo that night. And the guy is quality, and I hope he isn't, unfortunate and is let go because of lack of opportunities. I think he still has the chance to impress, and I think with Carmo, Morato, and hopefully Amabamidele, that if and when, as we assume, Murillo will go, we will have enough cover and quality to make up that gap.
What would you do with Amabamidele in January? Would you loan him out?
I think we should, unless there's injuries. I think we should, because obviously he's behind Bolly and Morato, so he's fifth choice now at this stage. So unless there's injuries, I think he needs to go somewhere to get just game time and keep him fresh, because he can always be recalled if necessary. But I think he should go out, because I think it's a pity to see a player of his quality sort of kicking his heels on the bench.
Just looking at how Carmo's doing. I mean, I haven't watched him play, but he's playing every game in Greece. I think he was on the bench at the start of the season, but now he's a regular. So he is getting the regular minutes he should be. Right, just before we bring Lee in, I'll let you go, Edward. Thank you very much. Good to meet in person finally. Well, over remotely anyway.
Yeah,
Not
well
at all,
done
thanks,
following
and,
Joseph as well.
Oh, yeah.
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 Oh, that was tough. That was tough. And
Yeah, you did
it was
well.
nice you both. And I've dealt with Greg before on Forza. He's very good at sending me stuff in the early days when there was no postage to Ireland. So
Oh,
I've
God,
got
Shane is going to be in the chat now.
Yeah, I know,
Still moans about that.
I know. It's a sore point. It's a sore point. But no, you were very helpful at the time. So nice to meet you and talk. And thanks, Matt. Talk to you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.
Yeah. Good to see
Cheers,
you. Good
mate.
to see you. Thanks very much, Edward. See you later. Right. I'll drop the link in one more time, and we could maybe take one more person. If anyone fancies it, there's 400 people with us, which is great, on Champions League night. So do hit like on the video. If you want to join us, then click on that link, and we'll try and squeeze one more person in. Lee, you're not in a truck. What's going on?
No, I'm at home. I've got the week off for a change, so it's a pleasant change. It's nice.
Excellent. Well, it's good to see you. Good to see you. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I'm going to find it hard to follow Edward and Joseph myself. Really, I'm bringing up the. I don't know what to do now. They've actually answered everything. I think it's a case of these lofty heights that we're achieving at the minute. It's like, do I get too excited? Do I not get too excited? It's you keep wanting to pinch yourself, thinking Nottingham Forest third in the Premier League. Okay, I know it's not going to last, but the dizzy heights that we've got to, it's just brilliant. It's just everybody's buying into it. You just listen to all the clubs around the country. I've got an Arsenal friend, Newcastle, and they're going, "What are you doing up there?" And something's just clicked with all of them all of a sudden, and it's so good to be a Forest fan at the moment because you can just wind up the likes of the Man U fans and even the Arsenal fans. I've got a good friend of mine who's an Arsenal, and he's actually spitting feathers at the moment because we're above them, and we've taken Edu as well. He's not a happy bunny at the minute. He really is upset. It's so nice to be there, but I think I have to go on again about Milenkovic. I think I'm his biggest fan at the minute. He's just that lad's something else. He really is. He's just bound Murillo to him, and it's just the exuberance from the lad. I don't know. He's a steal. He's definitely a steal. If somebody came in to buy him, they'd have to offer some serious money to get Milenkovic. Serious. He's something else, that lad.
As Susanna says, well done to everyone who come on. It is brave to do. We've got one more person waiting in the chat after Edward, so we'll bring them in shortly. Edward Lee, sorry, obviously. Right. At what point, Lee? You said it can't last. So we've got the games coming up. We've got Newcastle at home, Arsenal away, Ipswich at home, Man City away, United away, Villa at home, Brentford away. That takes us up till Christmas. So at what point would you say, this could last if we're still up and around there?
I think the Man City game's going to be difficult. I can see us getting a result against Newcastle. I really can. I can see us getting a result against Villa. The Man U game, anybody can go and beat them, can't they? They're not exactly brilliant at the minute, are they? They're a bit woeful. But they've got a new gaffer coming, haven't they? So that might be that new boss bounce that they get. I'd like to think that we could be still top 6 by Christmas. I think we're going to get. I think we'll lose somewhere along the line. But having said that, though, this Premier League this year, anybody can beat anybody, and it's just been proven this weekend. Bournemouth beating Man City for the first time, so you just never know. There's going to be an anomaly somewhere along the line, and somebody might go to Man City and beat them, and hopefully it's us.
I mean, like you see Bournemouth as well. They beat Arsenal and City in consecutive games, Greg. It shows, I think the gap between the top and the middle teams has narrowed quite a lot in the last couple of years. It's like City and Arsenal were getting 98 points. City and Liverpool were getting 98 points a couple of years ago. You're going to win the league with like 80 odd points now, I would say. So it is narrowing, isn't it? I would say.
Definitely. And with the amount of analysis and everything and the teams behind the teams, like they're all finding these gems, and we thought Saudi and all that would take some of the best players away from the league, but it seems there's not enough room in the top 4 teams for all these incredible players. So yeah, it's the perfect Premier League season to to have some form. And it's fascinating, isn't it? It really is fascinating, but I'm not sure how I think top 6 now, the way we've gone, is very feasible. I think it's just when you do lose a game because we're not used to it, how we cope with that.
Yeah, it's do you lose 3 on the bounce? But even if teams lose 3 on the bounce as well, like I'll have a look at the table in a minute. Team can get in the Champions League losing like 8 games or something like that. It's not like winning the league where you can only lose 3 or something like that.
I think the key is only losing 1 game so far this season. We always find a way to get a point. That Brighton away result was just ridiculous. One of the best results of the season so far. We just seem to find a way. And someone's just chucked some odds about us winning the FA Cup 50-1. Who would have thought in November would be 100-1 to go down? Like nobody, not even I wouldn't have thought that.
The good odds. I'm not taking it up though.
Just looking at last season's table, I mean, Villa got in the Champions League losing 10 games and drawing 8. So obviously that meant they won 20, which is a high percentage. But you don't have to win every game to get into Europe. Let's see, Newcastle finished 7th, and they won 18 and lost 14. So they lost around half their games almost. So yeah, it can be done. It can be done. Lee, we've got one more person waiting, so I'll let you go. Anything you want to add before you go?
No, I'm there on Sunday. I'm with my daughter up at Trent. So looking forward to that. So can't wait. I don't manage to get to every game, but we're working away all week. But this week it's fell just nicely. So up at Trent End this week. Hopefully a nice home win, and hopefully keep that referee quiet for a change because he's a bit of a nightmare.
Hopefully.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else then, beginning with that.
No, I'm being nice.
Nightmare's fine. Right, Lee, good to see you. We shall let you go.
Take care, you. Catch you later.
Cheers, mate. See you
Cheers,
later.
mate.
Bye-bye.
I was in the Upper Trent on Saturday, first time this season. I could actually see the screen, so that was good, and it was a lovely view.
I didn't see you. I was there for the start, for the display, and I always have my little bit now where I like stand on the barrier and the security look at me like I shouldn't be there, but have to get the banner over. It's great. It's best view in the ground. Do you know when that place sings as well? Halfway through the second half, someone started like Trent End give us a song.
Yeah.
When they sang, the hairs just stood up. It was unreal.
I could have seen. I was thinking on Monday while someone was talking. I could have seen like 8 goals in that second half. I don't think I've been to a half of football like that. Obviously not in the Premier League. Like we could have scored so many. It was pretty crazy. Right, I'll bring our last caller in, and this will be the last one this evening. Here we are, Sharmik. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm fine. Good to see you, Matt and Greg. Thank you.
Where are you in the world, out of curiosity?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Where are you in the world?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit nervous. I'm in Nairobi, Kenya.
Oh, amazing. Excellent. You're in Kenya. Excellent. What's your Forest fan story then? How come you're a Red supporter in Kenya?
You know what? It's been a long time since I've been a Forest fan. So I started supporting Forest in 2018. So
we weren't very good there. You're not a glory hunter.
Yeah. At the time I was a high school student. So the story I can tell is that how I became a Forest fan is that there was one day I was scrolling the internet and the championship season was due to start. It was just August the 2nd, I think. So I saw the prediction of the 7 teams who are likely to go up to the Premier League that season. So I remember it was Gabriel Murillo was the manager at the time. So I read Nottingham Forest was among the 7 predicted to get promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. So I started following Nottingham Forest, and then I read their history. I saw they won 2 Champions Leagues. And then I was a bit surprised, and then I started following the game I watched. I remember is that against Nottingham Forest, whereby Bogle misplaced the pass, and then was scored by Garapan. I think we won that game 1-0. So that's the first game I remember. That game, of course.
Time. I remember that game. Lewis Grabban 1-0. Yeah, brilliant. What do you want to say about this season?
This season, I was optimistic before even it started. So I had my prediction for this season and where we can finish up. And I have set up that we can finish in the Premier League top 10. That was my prediction before the Premier League even started. So I'm a regular watcher of your podcast. So I watch your podcast every time. So I saw you, Matt, and then Emily predicting 14. We'll
Yeah.
finish in 14. So great. Greg Mitchell was a bit optimistic. So I was like, oh, Matt's predicting 14, but I predicted we can finish in 9 or 8 in the Premier League this season. So I'm
Did
not
you
surprised
predict,
how well
Greg?
they perform in this season. I'm not surprised.
Well,
I'm
I
an
think I
optimistic
went.
person, of course.
Did you betray yourself, Greg, and say 12?
I
or
think
something
I
like that?
betrayed myself a little bit and only said top 10. But I love the fact that you're getting shamed for 14. This is brilliant. So keep it up.
14th was something we all aspired to, I think, a couple of weeks ago, I would say.
Why are you less optimistic?
Say again?
Why are you less optimistic when you predict 14?
I thought, well, we'd finished 17th 2 seasons before, so it's mad how things have changed, though, isn't it, Sharmi? Why do you think it's changed from over there in Kenya? What's made us so good this season?
You know what? Being a Forest fan is special on its own right. So people here in Kenya don't understand the history behind the club. They don't understand Nottingham Forest. So I'm feeling like I'm ambassador for the club. So when I started supporting Nottingham Forest in 2018 and up to now, I feel like I have sold the club to too many people. So a lot of people are now following me, supporting Forest for my sake. So I'm feeling like I'm ambassador for the club. So I remember a friend of mine who supports Arsenal called me when we won against West Ham comfortably last weekend. And he said, like, you are an ambassador for the club. I'm now seeing you, a lot of people following you. I'm also a Forest fan. I've left Arsenal. So people like
tell him we don't want him. He should have been there from the start.
Oh, man. First Edu and now your mate. We're recruiting everyone from Arsenal. We'll take them all. Don't worry. That's fine. That's fine. Love it. Right.
So
Anything else you want to say before we start end Sharmik? Anything else you want to add?
If I can talk about the transfer window.
Yeah,
I don't
please.
think like we need. I don't think like in this January transfer window we are in a rush mood. I don't think like we need too many players. So the only areas that I think we need is a winger or maybe a striker. So if we don't sign a striker in January, our main target is to get first a long-term striker who can stay at the club for years to come, who is a likely replaceable for Chris Wood. That's so we don't have to be on a rush mood. So if we just sign a winger, maybe a very top quality winger from European clubs, from Dortmund, for example, Gittins, that will be good. So also,
all over that.
Yeah.
Gittins would be
So
incredible.
also a striker I would like for my club to sign will be either Hetiki, who play for Atlanta. I think he's young, energetic, fit for the future. He can also be a good purpose. So he's his value for many. Also, another striker that I would like for my club to sign is Santiago Castro of Cologne. So if we get those either two of them, I think they can sustain us in the Premier League for years to come. So we have high ambition. We are not going back now. We are going forward. So I'm prepared. So I'm a big supporter of Forest fan. I love the club.
Good man. Good man. I love this. Right. We'll end it there. Just one thing on the wingers really quickly then. I would only sign a winger if I thought one of them was going personally, because I think Hudson-Odoi is that good. Maybe could you upgrade Elanga, Greg? I don't know. That feels a bit churlish when we're third in the league. What do you think about signing a winger?
It has annoyed me a little bit where people are saying, "Oh, Elanga's not had a very good game," and he's
been good the last two.
He's been very good. It's just other players, a bit like Dominguez not getting the praise that we were talking about earlier. Other players have just excelled so incredibly. It's so hard to focus on each player. So to upgrade a Hudson-Odoi Elanga team, which they are, they work together so well. It's going to have to take an incredible signing. And some of the players you've mentioned are incredible signings. So
yeah, they are. But you don't know, do
that's the type of player that we're going to have to go for if we're seriously going to take one of those out of our starting 11.
Yeah, it's true though, because I remember that when the Edu rumours emerged, whenever it was, 2 months ago, I thought, honestly, I thought no chance. Why would he leave? I thought there was a job at Forest, but why would he leave Arsenal to come to Forest when he's running the show at Arsenal? Obviously, it's a slightly different role now. He's running the show, globally as a CEO for all Marinakis' clubs, but it does show ambition and everything like that. Right, I'm going to finish with you, Charmaine, because you've been a lovely guest, and you are out optimistic in terms of Greg Mitchell. You're matching him step for step. So where are we going to finish in the Premier League?
This is. I've been optimistic from the start. So even I predicted that in the next 4 games of November, the win from Crystal Palace. Up to now, this game that we are going to play against Newcastle this weekend, I predicted we can get 10 to 12 points from those 4 games, and we are 9 already. So I'm optimistic, and I'm good at predicting matches or things. So I'm good at that. So I also predicted one note. I also predicted that we will be at Europe in 2026. I don't know if that will happen, but we can finish in the Premier League 6. Not 6. We can finish 7, 8, up to 10. We can finish there. And if we finish in European places, that will be perfect. A dream come true. I love the club. I also like Ryan Yates. Either Ryan Yates or Calamar to get an Icon call Thursday. If not this Thursday, next match.
Well, we'll find out. We shall find out on Thursday, won't we? Who's getting the England call-ups? Yeah, I'm going to say I reckon Elliot Anderson will be in the squad. I've still got that feeling because he's that good. Right. You can stay with us till the end, Charmaine. Don't worry. Right. If you've enjoyed this, do us a favour: hit like, hit subscribe, become a channel member, give us a lovely review on iTunes. Great to have so many people with us tonight. A really good selection of callers. Enjoyed everyone. So do join us tomorrow with. Former West player David Phillips, played in 94, 95 when we finished 3rd, so I'm going to ask him all about that and if there's any similarities. And then Thursday match preview on West Ham, and Friday opposition preview, not West Ham, Newcastle, obviously. Right, I'll finish with Charmaine properly. Greg Mitchell, thank you very much.
Thank you. I absolutely love this football club. Every time a new person came on, I thought, oh no, I feel sorry for them because they've got to follow that last guest, and it's just been brilliant. This has been one of my favorite podcasts I've done, so thank you.
Charmaine, thank you very much. You have to say thank you. That's how it...
See you next time.
Yeah, you stay there, don't worry. Right, have a good evening, everyone. Have a good evening, and hopefully we shall see you tomorrow, but if not, we shall see you soon.
Thank you.